Alright, chapter 215 review. And if you like Jujutsu Kaisen content, this channel makes it all the time, so feel free to subscribe if that's your thing. So our chapter starts off with Urame getting carpooled over to where Sukuna's at. So Kenjaku is helping Urame out here. While Kenjaku and Sukuna are probably going to try to pull one over on each other eventually, it seems like they're okay with occupying the same world for now. But we can probably expect the great punkening between these two characters. So Sukuna takes note that he's stuck at like barely above 10% total cursed energy output, which that should tell you how strong this guy really is. And Maki straight up spooks Sukuna. And considering the fact Yuki said that Toji was the first sorcerer in history to have 0 cursed energy, even normal civilians have it, this is probably the first time in Sukuna's life that he has been snuck up on. Maki solid snaked him and then posed for it. So Sukuna gives Maki a little bit of props for not getting damaged by Nu in his head. And Yuji just says to straight up murder him. And Maki doesn't even question this order at all, and they just jump his ass immediately. So Sukuna is shown pretty visibly shocked here that Maki grabs his arm. There are a lot of things in this chapter of Sukuna giving Maki props. So if people are really trying to downplay Maki and say it's just because he was at 10%, he might be at 10% cursed energy, but considering Sukuna's physical feats have been relatively consistent between 3 and 15 fingers, and Toji's speed was noted to be as fast as Sukuna's by Megumi, regardless of what downplayers might want to say, Maki is making Sukuna a little shocked here. Like, Sukuna isn't making these faces for nothing or complimenting her for nothing. So she tosses his ass into a barricade, then Yuji uses it to like wrap him up like he's a burrito. And he calls Yuji dull for this, and that's kind of fair because he didn't even like put rice in it or anything. So Maki and Yuji just go over their plan together to kill Megumi's body to have it be revived later and hopefully get Sukuna out of it. Then Maki asks Yuji if he wants a new scaling feat, and he says yes. And they just dive after this guy. I mean, Yuji literally jumps him. They don't call it Shonen jumped for nothing. And Sukuna is just playing the role of the wall here. Maki and Yuji are throwing hands as fast as they can, but Sukuna seems to be catching most of them. This guy does have the most experience in combat of any known sorcerer, so that makes sense. So he takes note that Megumi's body specifically cuts his cursed technique output when he's trying to hurt his actual friends. So he uses an application of cleave called Spider's Web. And I thought this was a new technique, but the translation I read was wrong in the spoilers. So he uses this to just completely destroy the ground they're on, and then delivers a sufficiently devastating punch directly upon Maki's face. She just spits at him, looking up menacingly. And Sukuna just straight up says not bad here. So like, if you think he's not complimenting Maki, you're coping. And to be fair, even if Yuji was the one to have done this, Sukuna would have never given him props. He probably would have just said something like, "What, you're still there, Brett?" The panel after this is an anime speed fight, so I guess you can leave it up to the power scalers to use this for something. Maki and Yuji, like, they do a little anime dive back for a second, a little bit of scuffled rubble here. Then Urame shows up, he uses a massive ice attack that gets like a drone view. And even Sukuna's like, wow, that's pretty good. She's then like, "Oh, Sukuna, please forgive me for my intrusiveness." And Sukuna says, "You're the closest thing I have to a friend, so you're forgiven." Urame says that she weakened the ice around Yuji so he can kill him. And he says he doesn't even care about Yuji anymore, which is, the disrespect is pretty brutal here. I mean, I don't think Yuji hurt him, but if he did, that man's been through enough. Sukuna then summons Giganu and asks Urame to go get the bath ready. And Urame tells Sukuna that the preparations are all complete. And Sukuna's like, "See, this is why I keep you alive." And Yuji just busts out of the ice and he looks up at them. He's just screaming Sukuna, which is like probably like about 50% of his dialogue these past 2 chapters. And Urame asks Sukuna if they want them to kill Yuji. And Sukuna's like, no, let's just bully him instead. And they're just goofing on him and comparing him to some other poor bastard from like 1,000 years ago. And they literally fly away laughing. And Sukuna, I know you're from 1,000 years ago and you probably didn't read a lot of stories, but cut like 40 chapters from now and Sukuna's just going to be thinking, "Oh my god, my hubris, if only I had killed the shonen protagonist." There's even a little text at the bottom that says, "Even when you're being mocked, don't let the embers of your rage burn out." And I don't know how more direct an author can get with telling you that this villain is going to get their nuts kicked in. So these last 2 chapters have been excellent. And this is really looking like the end of the Culling games right now. So this is really like the lowest the series is probably going to get for our 2 main characters. Yuji and Megumi's arcs are both at their absolute lowest right now. Megumi's agency has been robbed from him, his body is taken over. Yuji's best friend was stolen from him and he was left bullied in the dust. This is probably the perfect time to bring back Gojo now. Like, we have Angel, who's going to be alive. She'll probably be back in the next couple chapters, or at least like being recovered. And the rest of our characters are really all in the position for the final arc. This is the first real moment of like everyone being calm in the Culling games so far. And our characters should have the points to get out of the Culling games now too. As far as Megumi's sister is concerned, we're probably never going to see them again. At least not until like the end of the series. I mean, maybe we will. Maybe they'll do some fight or something with them. But Megumi's sister's whole thing in this entire arc was just a plot device to get his soul broken. Gojo coming out now, Gojo's gonna have some trouble fighting Sukuna. I don't think that Gojo is willing to kill Megumi. He practically helped raise him at this point, because Megumi and Yuji, they kind of have to be the ones to deal with Sukuna at this point. It's been set up from the first chapter, Ryoma and Sukuna, with Megumi, Yuji, and Sukuna being the first characters displayed in the series. He's also the one who they've had the most personal interaction with. Nobody else in the series has really had interaction with Sukuna. The guy has said like 2 lines to Gojo. Megumi and Yuji don't really have anything to do besides fight Sukuna at this point. And Megumi is 100% going to get his body back before the end of the series, because Yuji has all of this beef with Sukuna, and Megumi has all of this beef with Sukuna, but they're gonna get out, and then instead of finishing their plotline, which would be fighting the guy who has screwed them over the entire time, because if they leave it to Gojo, then the only thing they really have to do is like go over and fight Kenjaku with like everybody else, the guy they haven't interacted with for like the entire series. That's like 80% of the series at that point, even if they start like next chapter interacting with this guy. Because imagine you're Gege Akatame in the writing room, and you've been writing Yuji and Megumi being screwed over by Sukuna the entire time. And then you write the climax to that at the end of the Culling games, with Megumi having his body stolen and Yuji being bullied. But instead of having the payoff to either of these characters being screwed over by this guy, you just have Yuji open the back of a box and Gojo comes out and then finishes the plotline for them. Gojo's gonna 100% have a role at the end of the story, but I really don't think that's it. And while there are a few things that Gojo could do, like go deal with Kenjaku, him being the only one capable of pushing a 10 Shadows Sukuna Megumi, it seems like one of the most likely uses of his character. It also doesn't leave Gojo in like an awkward position where he just comes out of the box to die. If anyone in the story is going to lead to Megumi getting his body back, I feel like it would be Gojo. Obviously, this is all just my opinion. It could go a different way. That just seems like where the plotlines are going to converge. And while Kenjaku is the grand architect villain of the series, Sukuna has far more of an emotional callus around him though, and he's the foil for our main protagonist. That's really all I have to say about my predictions. Probably have more information as time goes on. It'll change with that. As for these chapters, they have been excellent. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Culling games overall, but at least it had an amazing ending. Now I want to hear your opinions on these chapters. Did you like the Culling games? Did you hate it? Comment below and let me know. And if you like videos like this, subscribe for more. And as always, thanks for watching.